So as is common with me, I try and look at all forms of Christianity to try and get the little gems and the little bits that are interesting and beneficial, and try and sort of bring them together and harmonize them if I can. But I was looking at and watching and listening to a rabbi give a presentation about the Torah. It wasn't about the Torah specifically, but inevitably when a rabbi is talking, it's always about the Torah, which is good. Something sort of clicked in me. He said something like that in the Pirkei Avos, that Israel were given I can't even say the word, but a precious instrument. They were given a precious instrument called the Torah. And he said that, and this is what clicked for me, and it'll click for you as well if you know the New Testament, and how Jesus is described. He says, nature was created by the Torah, through Torah, and for Torah. What does that remind you of? And it sort of clicked in my head. That's Jesus. The world was created by Jesus, at least through Jesus and for Jesus. All things are created through him, and by him all things hold together. Like he's the purpose. And so I'm thinking, Jesus is the incarnated Torah of God. Jesus is the incarnated Torah of God. So in the Psalms, it's all about the Torah. It's all about, I love your law, O Lord. I love to keep your commandment, your mitzvah. I love to keep your Torah. That's all about Jesus. That's what Jesus is, the Torah. Like, in the beginning was the Torah, and the Torah was with God. Because you have to think about it. What's Jesus in the New Testament described as? He's the sacrifice. He's the moral teachings. He's the judge. He's the king. And he's the high priest. He's all of these things. He's in the embodiment, the physical manifestation, the personification of the Torah in human flesh. The Word became flesh. Right? And Jesus says, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. So now that the whole thing has been done, finished, the whole work of salvation has been finished in Christ, what do we do now? Torah. But completed and fulfilled Torah. And you're probably thinking to me, we can't do that. We can't synonymize the law and Jesus because, Mark, what about in Galatians? Well, just think about it. Paul says you're not justified by the law, but you're justified by faith. And that is so true. Even if you put Jesus in that, which people might think that's wrong. We're not justified by Jesus. We're justified by faith. In Jesus. Faith in Jesus. The point is, we're not justified by the person of Jesus. Jesus doesn't justify us for no reason. As in, like, he says, okay, you're going to be justified, you're not going to be justified, you're going to be right, you're going to be wrong. No. We have free will, and we are justified by our faith. And that working out of the faith is the observance of the commandments, the mitzvah, found in the Torah, which is found in Jesus Christ, the person of Jesus Christ, who is the embodiment of the Torah. He came not to destroy the law, but to fulfill the law. Yes? So that's just a little point, and it sort of comes together nicely with what our teacher Kel, and I'm going to use that phraseology now, what our teacher Kel has said about the one body of Jesus Christ, it being the true body and it being the true blood in function, which unites the church, which unites the bride of Christ. And that's the unity that is found through uniting the Torah and everyone, the whole world, so that everyone will keep the commandments. And we think, because the point is, well, how can we keep the Torah? It's all about these sacrifices and all of these things. Well, Jesus deals with the sacrifices. But then he says, those who love me will obey my commandments. So, you have to obey his commandments. There were some other things as well, I think, but I'll just leave it there. So, God bless.